My fine fellow fanatical elves, welcome to the show. This is the Oracle Speaks. I am the Village Elliot. I am your tour to the past, present, and future of the Cleveland Browns. Man, we just came off of the eclipse, and I want to talk about the offense of the Cleveland Browns. I believe that the Stefanski run first offense is about to be eclipsed by a new offense, the Air Deshaun offense. I think it really is going to be a revolution this year. We're going to see a different offense altogether from what we're used to. I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but I believe that the Browns are going to make a change. It is a real change, and I'm going to tell you why. But man, I'll tell you what, I was really surprised by the eclipse. I thought, well, okay, it's getting dark. Yeah, it's going to get dark. Because I went down to Kentucky to see the eclipse in 2017, and I thought that I had seen the eclipse, but I think I didn't go far enough, deep enough into the eclipse zone because I was not prepared to see the corona effect like I saw it this time. I went way deep into Indiana. I went west to get 3 minutes of the total eclipse. And man, I was really shocked at what I saw. Maybe we'll be shocked by what we see by the Cleveland Browns this year because it was just really spectacular, wasn't it? Whoa! If you saw it, I know it was up in Cleveland in full force. It was just incredible. Maybe that's what we're going to see. Pro football is like that, just some incredible, incredible sights. So, all right, let's get to it. I think we're going to see some different stuff in Cleveland this year than we've ever seen before. For those of you who have video, I have a presentation in PowerPoint, and it's about Air Watson versus Kevin Stefanski's run first offense. I think that there is a distinct change coming. And let's talk about what is going to be in 2024. What is the Stefanski offense? Well, it's really dominated by the run pass option. We see a lot of two tight end formations. We see a lot of utilization of the fullback, which is kind of going extinct in the NFL. The Browns have been one of the last holdouts. What you see is that the Browns typically have run the ball more often than they pass, like 55% of the time they would run the ball, not pass as often as the rest of the teams in the NFL. And it has worked for them. They have had success with quarterbacks like Joe Flacco. When Stefanski was in Minnesota, he made it work with Case Keenum. He's been able to have success with quarterbacks that are not superstars. Heaven forbid that anybody think that that you can have a successful offense without superstar downfield passing, but you can. You grind it out. Short passing, possession football makes a lot of sense. Your defense works better if they get some decent rest on the sidelines while your offense grinds it out a little bit. You have also salary cap implications. It's cheaper to pay great tight ends instead of great wide receivers. So there are a lot of reasons why the Stefanski offense makes sense. Let's talk about the quarterback. We got millions and millions of dollars invested in Deshaun Watson. Once again, I remind you, that's not Deshaun Watson's fault. If you don't like spending so much money on the quarterback, let's blame the front office. Let's not blame the player for signing. If you're offered $230 million, I hope you will have the common sense to accept that offer, just as Deshaun Watson accepted the offer that was kindly extended to him by Andrew Berry and the Haslams. Don't hold that against him one little tiny bit. Anyway, Watson's success in Houston was also achieved largely because of Bill O'Brien's triple option offense, in which Deshaun would also rely heavily on the run pass option. And he also used a lot of two tight ends and even two running backs, which is kind of a throwback offense. You don't see too many two running back formations. And in this case, I don't mean the fullback, the blocking back, but I mean two honest to goodness running backs, especially in that 2019 team in which they had two former Cleveland Browns uh, on the field. They had Duke Johnson and they had Carlos Hyde, both of whom were prominent figures in 2018 on the Cleveland Browns, and they made it work. It was really kind of a remarkable offense. Give the devil his due. And Deshaun Watson threw a lot of passes to those guys and made it work. But he did not have 4 and 5 wide receivers for the most part. He used tight ends, he used running backs and threw the ball to them, and he passed for a bazillion yards. But that's not really what they're talking about doing this offseason. And the moves that they've made have continued the trend of de-emphasizing the tight ends. The Browns at one point had 5 tight ends on the roster. In 2019, they actually had 5 tight ends that they dressed for uh, games during the season. Right now, they only have like 2 tight ends that are true options on the roster, and they do not have a fullback really, or at least the primary guy that they use, Nick Harris, has left the team as a free agent. And so you're seeing these key components of the Stefanski offense leave the team, and the Browns are signing wide receivers. So that's the kind of the trend that you see. It's a little bit like the Baltimore team, the infamous Ravens. They keep on trying to get players that will help their quarterback, Lamar Jackson, transition to a passer. Oh, Lamar, we want you to be a pocket passer. We don't want you to be the dual threat quarterback anymore. We think that's too tough of an ask for you. Why don't you become a pocket passer? We think that'll work better. Well, that's kind of the same message that the Browns are giving Deshaun Watson. They don't want him to get banged up too much by running the football too much, even on the passing plays. And as the O'Brien offense used Deshaun in Houston, he would get banged up at the end of the play. Somebody would hit him, and that takes its toll after a while. But so they got a new offensive coordinator, the same guy who ran the Buffalo offense for Josh Allen. Looks like we're going to this high octane passing offense, and the question is this really going to work? Oh, but we've seen Deshaun Watson do it for brief, what do you want to say, small data sample, I guess you could say, or brief shining moments. He had a great second half against the Ravens, playing with a broken bone in his shoulder. How did he do it? I don't know, but he went 14 for 14 in that half, 139 yards, a touchdown, got a win against the Ravens. Attaway, Deshaun, but he was not able to play after that, unfortunately. But we know that he can do it. Is a question about whether he will continue to be able to flourish under this new offense. Let's get some terminology. I know a lot of people are very knowledgeable who listen to this show, and probably more knowledgeable than I am, frankly. But what's the difference between play action and the RPO, or run pass option? And I know a lot of you know this, but okay. Play action just means play fake. It just sounds cooler to say play action and play fake. What it means is that they're going to fake the handoff, and then quarterback pulls the ball back and passes instead of handing it off. And the idea is that you're going to try to catch the defense over committing to the run. And everybody on the team knows that it's a fake. That's play action. And now the problem is that sometimes the defense can figure out that it's a fake. Sometimes they can just guess it. Sometimes they know that the running attack is no good, and they say, "Ha, we're just going to ignore the play fake. We don't care if you run the ball. We're coming for the passer anyway." Or sometimes, maybe they can tell by the way that the running back is kind of twitchy or something. They might give it away a little bit. And in any case, sometimes the defense can just figure things out, and that's a disadvantage of a play action, is that the offense might give it away somehow by not being completely poker faced, I guess, during the execution of the play. Now, the run pass option is basically very similar, except that nobody on the team knows whether it's going to be a run or pass, not even the running back, except for the quarterback. Only the quarterback knows what's going to happen. And the quarterback hands the ball off to the fullback, and then he rips it out of his arms and says, ha ha ha, I'm going to pass the ball. So they all start out like it's a running play, and the quarterback is the one who changes his mind in the middle of the play and redirects it to become a pass. So basically it looks the same as play action or play fake, except that since nobody knows that it's coming, it's impossible for anybody else on the team to leak the secret unless they're somehow reading the quarterback's body language somehow. The quarterback is the only one who would be susceptible to giving away the secret. So the point is then that everybody just has to carry out their assignments until such time as it's clear that it's a pass. Now, in some cases, notably Cedric Tillman, Mr. Tillman used to take the play off and say that, oh, well, this is a run. I guess I can rest the rest of the play. And then the ball would come towards him. It was a pass after all. And Mr. Tillman was famous for resting a little bit, assuming that it was a run play, and the quarterback would become a little bit irate. And I saw him get chewed out by Mr. Joe Flacco more than once. That's embarrassing. Okay, so don't do that. You have to carry out the play. In fact, even when you know that it's a run play, you're supposed to carry out the play just as if it was going to be a pass play, hustle all the time. And certain members of the Browns didn't do that. It looks bad. So, but I'm really getting distracted. The point is that RPO is a lot like play fake, play action, except that nobody except for the quarterback knows that he's going to pull it back. Joe Flacco was a genius at selling the RPO. And basically, because he's 6'6" and weighs, I don't know what, 235 or something, he could just rip it out of the halfback's arms, just like he was a linebacker, and turn it into a pass play. So he was very aggressive at making that play fake. Fantastic. But okay, so that's what we're talking about. That's part of the Stefanski offense. That's what they used to do in Houston as well. Okay, I want to take some time. We always like to talk about the charity work that players do. Now, Deshaun Watson, of course, has had legal problems. He's sort of been cooling his jets for obvious reasons. But when he was in Houston, he did a lot of things. Here's a post in X.com from Mark Berman at Mark Berman, talking about how Deshaun Watson gave back, in this case, helping to hand out 500 desktop computers to students and families in need in conjunction with the at DW4 Foundation. That's his own foundation, and a nonprofit at COMP_U underscore, is it DOPT, I think. Hello, yes, DOPT, and at Reliant to make it happen. So, Deshaun, once again, very committed to educating young people. Thank you, Deshaun, for doing that. He's been maintaining a low profile because of his legal issues. We understand that. He will, however, be part of the David Njoku celebrity softball game that's been announced. It's on June 8th, 2024 at the Classic Auto Group Park. So that should be fun. Looking forward to that. We'll see a lot of Browns celebrities and other guys, famous people at the David Njoku softball game. That'll be fun. Okay, so now we need to take a commercial break. It's we're very grateful for everybody that supports this show, and thank you, Johnny Cleveland, for arranging for sponsorship, and also Fans First Sports Network. Grateful to all of you. We'll pause for 3 seconds to 3 minutes, depending on the platform, starting right now. And we're back. Let's talk about Bill O'Brien's 2019 offense. Now, I've notice I've got too many people on the field right here. I'm showing everybody that they used to like to use. They often ran 2 tight ends, and look at how many people used to be on the Browns or would become Browns later Uh, they had Jordan Akins, who would become a Cleveland Brown starting in 2023, and then also a former Cleveland Brown in Darren Fells. They picked him up after the Browns cut him, I think. So those were the two tight ends that they used in 2019. Or they could use two running backs. They had Carlos Hyde, who had over 1,000 yards rushing and 1,112 yards total yards from scrimmage. And they also had Duke Johnson, who had 820 total yards from scrimmage. So let's not say that those guys, were no good. They had between them, they had almost 2,000 yards total yards from scrimmage. And in fact, if you add up Deshaun Watson, who also had 400 total yards from scrimmage, add all that up, they actually had more total yards from scrimmage than the Cleveland Browns did, despite the fact that the Browns had Nick Chubb, who should have led the league in rushing, except that Freddie Kitchens gave him the second half off, thinking that he had an insurmountable lead. And then Derrick Henry had a monster game and overtook him in the late afternoon game that year. But anyway, the despite the fact that we had Chubb and we had Kareem Hunt, the Texans actually got more rushing yards than we did. That's kind of pathetic, don't you think? But they also had DeAndre Hopkins was their monster receiver, and then their number two guy was Will Fuller. They also had Kenny Stills in the slot. They basically had everything. Deshaun Watson threw for about 1,000,000 yards, 3,852 to be specific. So they could do a lot of different things. They played two tight ends, they played two running backs, and they could also go conventional with two wide receivers and one guy in the slot. Okay, so that's what it looked like. And once again, they used a triple option, would fake a handoff to typically to Carlos. They could screen pass to Carlos. They could screen pass to Duke Johnson, hit one of the tight ends if they're in the game, and they can throw the ball downfield to a wide receiver. Oftentimes, they would have all these guys, a lot of targets on one side of the field or the other, so that Deshaun could make his progressions mostly on one side of the field and make it simple for him. So this worked very well for them. Um, just these relatively simple progressions with a lot of blocking talent and a lot of options based on a fake handoff to start with, a triple option. Deshaun could run the ball, he could hand the ball off, he can screen pass, or he can throw the ball down the field. So, gosh, that's actually kind of four options, isn't it? But it worked pretty well. In Stefanski's 2023 offense, he typically had only one wide receiver that was a threat. That's Amari Cooper. Our number two guy is Cedric Tillman. And, I haven't been a big Cedric Tillman fan, really. He's got 232 total yards from scrimmage. That's our number two wide receiver. That's our number two wide receiver. 232 yards from scrimmage. Why am I not feeling the vibe here? Our slot guy is pretty good. That's Elijah Moore with 650 yards from scrimmage. That's pretty reasonable. Um, we also had a monster year from Jerome Ford, kind of quietly. He had significant rushing yards, a lot of carries, but he also did very, very well, especially late in the season, in getting receiving yards. We didn't expect that because he didn't do that at the University of Cincinnati, but they started to use him coming out of the backfield, and that worked pretty well. Okay, we got Harrison Bryant was a blocking tight end, and then all David Njoku did was make the Pro Bowl and have 882 total yards from scrimmage. Most of those are, of course, receiving yards. So he and Amari Cooper were the guys that typically got double coverage, and Bryant is a blocker. They also had Nick Harris used frequently as a blocking fullback. So you've got some of these nominal skill position players that are being used as blockers, and we're certainly not getting like 3 and 4 wide receiver formations, we really have only one wide receiver that's doing any good in Amari Cooper. David Bell, I think, is probably more effective coming off the bench than Cedric Tillman was as the starter. Um, but we want to try to run the ball in this formation and use blockers, and that's how they did it. They did a lot of RPOs, and they were able to make yardage this way, even without great wide receivers, other than Amari Cooper. And Amari Cooper was double covered a lot. And I really can't say enough good things about Amari Cooper. He had a phenomenal year, remembering that he did not have Deshaun Watson throwing to him most of the time. And most of the time, Amari Cooper got the absolute best that the opposing defense could throw at him because they weren't worried about Cedric Tillman over on the other side with his 232 receiving yards. I mean, come on. They could concentrate on Cooper. The only thing that they had to do was really worry about Njoku. That was the guy that they had to worry about. And that's often some combination of a linebacker and a strong safety to handle David. All right, so what are we going to do in 2024? Well, right now we've got some wide receivers. We've got Jerry Jeudy. We've got Amari Cooper. Those are both very credible wide receivers. We've only got one tight end. Harrison Bryant is gone. Njoku is still there. He's still demanding occasional double coverage. We've got the slot guy, wide receiver. We could put another third wide or fourth wide receiver, actually, and David Bell would be a credible choice here. Jerome Ford is still our number one back. We could potentially add another tight end in Jordan Akins, although he did not have a good year next year, and I kind of think we might select somebody in the draft. We do have backup running backs, but the Browns did not really use two back formations, except a fullback as a additional blocker. I think that the Browns will try to use four wide receiver formations to a much greater extent than they used to. They are going to throw the ball downfield. I don't really think that they, at this point, have that blocking tight end. I don't think that they're going to be able to run the ball as frequently as they used to. Nick Chubb is going to have some opportunity to come back, but I don't think we can count on him to carry the ball 10 times a game like he did in years past. It's really an unknown at this point just how much he'll be able to play or how effective he'll be. They they don't have the personnel to run the two tight end offense right now. They might be able to develop somebody in the preseason games. Maybe they'll find somebody in the draft. Maybe they'll get an undrafted rookie or recycled veterans. But I don't know that they really intend to play Kevin ball this year. I think that they probably will go with a more standard three wide receiver set, maybe even use four wide receivers. I think they're going to go all in for the deep ball offense. That's why they hired a new offensive coordinator. Is they're not trying to matriculate down the field with the run first offense. And here's a tweet from the Dogs, a Cleveland Browns podcast at the Dogs podcast. And once again, they talk about how Deshaun Watson went 14 for 14 against Baltimore. So thank you very much to at the Dog podcast for that tweet. So my question for you, my fine fellow fanatical elves, can Watson return to his Houston form? Should he even try? Is that what he wants? Is it what anyone wants? First of all, there's no doubt that he and Bill O'Brien had something great really working over in Houston. But he was getting sacked often and he was getting hit on many other plays, even when he was not running the ball, when he's not getting sacked, he's still on the triple option getting hit. He took a pounding, and this may not be a sustainable way of life in the NFL. It might not be such a great idea to try to simply turn the clock back to 2019 and do that same 2019 thing. That may not work in the long run. We may just have an injured quarterback every year if that's what we're going to try. Um, I, you know, uh, he was a very durable player in Houston, but he took probably as many hits as anybody uh, this side of Lamar Jackson when he was doing all that. I think that Watson had the idea that he was going to transition to a long ball quarterback. And I think that's what the Browns wanted to do too. And that's why they made the change at offensive coordinator. That's why they brought in Ken Dorsey, who was the offensive coordinator for Josh Allen. Let's talk also about the pass protection issues in 2023. They had, okay, you can say that, well, that's because they had injuries on the offensive line in 2023. Well, okay, that's true. Now, answer me this. Have they gotten any younger on the offensive line in 2024? And will this aging, let me dare I say, injury prone offensive line, will they protect the quarterback any better in 2024 than they did in 2023? And in fact, that's one of the reasons why I think they decided to make a move at the backup quarterback position. They thought, if we need to use Joe Flacco for more than 5 games, what if we have to use Joe Flacco for 10? What if we have to use him for 12? What if we have to use him for 17 games or 21 if we make the playoffs? Can we have a 40-year-old last that long with this offensive line? I don't know. Uh, and this bullet says, for those of you who have video, fans demand better execution from the O-line and just the execution of Jed Wills. A lot of people are down on Jed Wills. And yeah, I think Jed Wills probably not played at quite the level that he's getting paid at. He's, like $12 million or something. I think Jed Wills probably played hurt a lot of the time and got criticized for that. And he didn't try to make excuses for his play. But I think we saw him play better at times 2 and 3 years ago, and I think that he may actually be better than people give him credit for. But in any case, no question that the Browns are getting older at the offensive line. I don't know that you can expect them to become more injury resistant as they get older. I don't know that I think that they're going to solve their problems for injury proneness, if that's a word, in 2024. Probably not. Um, There's Nick Carnes has a tweet about how the Browns had great success with 4 quarterbacks. That's a tribute, I think, to the Stefanski offense, but I think that the Browns are going to throw the ball deep and that they need to have Deshaun Watson put together a big passing year. That's what I think the goal is. Ken Dorsey is not hired to hand the ball off. That's not, if they just wanted to hand the ball off, I think they'd have stayed with Alex Van Pelt. They didn't have any real problem with Alex Van Pelt. He did a great job. Bills had problems with Tyreek Hill. That's true. I don't know that I think that that's Ken Dorsey's problem. I really don't. Tyreek Hill, his performance actually dropped when Dorsey was fired. It's not like he was given a second lease on life when Dorsey left. The opposite was true. The reason why they hired Dorsey was to fire the ball downfield with Josh Allen as the quarterback. That's exactly what he's going to do with Deshaun Watson. He's not going to be a run-first offensive coordinator. That is not going to happen. So welcome to Cleveland, Mr. Dorsey. Welcome back. He used to be the quarterback here back in the Stone Age. And I think we're going to throw the ball down the field. I really do. It's because of Deshaun Watson. We're all in. There's no choice. We're paying the guy $64 million. We can't say that, oh, well, I think maybe we're just not going to use him. Let's evolve some kind of other offense and maybe we'll get another quarterback. No, 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 no. Browns are in the post Chubb era. I'm sorry to say this, but the Browns are not going to be a run first team in the foreseeable future. The running backs, we're still going to have running backs, but they're going to be doing different things than they have in the past. They are going to have to catch the ball if they want to play in Cleveland. Jerome Ford took some huge steps in 2023 as a pass catcher. I was very concerned about that. You may recall last year. He did not do that at the University of Cincinnati. He did not have much of a opportunity in 2022, but he really came a long way in 2023. Very happy with his progress. Jerome worked hard and improved the whole time. Pierre Strong also has looked great in limited opportunities, needs to stay healthy. I think that we need the training staff to work hard to develop him and keep him in shape. But Nick Chubb, man, he's the greatest running back this side of Jim Brown, but he's starting over. I don't know anybody that's been able to succeed with two reconstructive knee surgeries on the same knee. If anybody can do it, it's Nick. But we really don't know what we've got in 2024, or we don't know when he's going to be back or how much he's still got in the tank. I do know this, however, that he's an underrated pass catcher, that Baker Mayfield never used him to his full potential. Nick does have great hands, and he can be an effective receiver out of the backfield, assuming that he can come back. I think that he'll be just fine with a more of a dual threat aspect to his game. He's not just a running back, he's also a threat as a receiver. Always has been. It's just that the Browns have, for whatever reason, elected not to use him that way. But everything that that the Oracle sees suggests that the Browns are going to be featuring a pass first, not a run first, but a pass first, wide receiver oriented Buffalo Bills style offense in 2024. That's what Ken Dorsey's been brought here to install. And I think that's what we're going to see. Ho, ho, ho. So, it's going to be a different kind of Cleveland Browns team. I don't think that Kevin Stefanski is a one-dimensional coach. I think that he can make adjustments. He knows how to coach any number of different offenses. He will make the adjustment. I think the team will adjust under him. I think there'll be different kinds of players that the Browns will select in the draft. I think that, the obvious thing that they need in the draft is a tight end. But I don't know that I think that they're going to draft a tight end with the second round pick. I think that they might just hold off on that because there are some guys that are going to be available later in the draft that might be halfway decent, and they might just draft defense because that's really what the strength of the team was last season, and that's really what wins football games is defense. So we'll see about that. We'll just see how the Browns play this, but I'm looking for a defensive football team, and I'm looking for on offense. I'm looking for a long ball offense. I think the fans are going to get what they want. It's not what I want or what I would design an offense to do, but based on the personnel that they have, they're obliged to use wide receivers and to um, put the ball up in the air. That's what I see the Browns doing this season. We'll see if I'm right. So take care, everybody. I'll talk again with you soon. God bless. Bye for now.